Right now, someone owns you. Not legally, not physically, but they own you. Every time you say something you immediately regret, they win. Every time your mood collapses because of something someone else did, they win. Every time you spend money to fill an emotional void, they win. Every time a spiraling thought keeps you awake at 3 a.m., they win. And the most dangerous part? The person controlling you isn't always someone else. Most of the time it's you. An unmastered version of you running on impulse, reaction, and fear. The Stoics identified 4 specific gates through which your power bleeds out every single day. And they built an exact method for sealing each one. Stay until the end. Because the final principle reveals why mastering these 4 things doesn't just change your behavior, it changes what kind of person the world is even capable of producing in you. Epictetus was born into Roman slavery. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing about his external world. His body was the legal property of another man. And yet, by the time he died, philosophers, senators, and emperors were studying his words. He discovered something that no master, no circumstance, no amount of external force could touch: the interior citadel, the domain of the self that exists entirely beyond what anyone else can reach. He taught, "No one can hurt you without your permission." That statement gets misread constantly. People hear it as cruelty, as if he's dismissing real pain. He isn't. He's identifying something far more precise. Your mouth, your mood, your money, your mind. These are not random weaknesses. They are the exact 4 points where external chaos gains entry into your internal world. They are the gates. Marcus Aurelius, who governed an empire of 60 million people, wrote privately, not for performance, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." He wrote that to himself, on the hardest days, because even he needed the reminder. The Stoics weren't teaching emotional suppression. They were teaching something far more sophisticated: selective sovereignty. The ability to decide, with precision, which external forces are granted access to your internal state. And they identified 4 specific disciplines that, practiced daily, build that sovereignty from the inside out. This is the blueprint. Understand what an unmastered mouth, mood, money, and mind look like to someone watching you from the outside. To a manipulator, they are a map. When you speak impulsively in anger, you reveal exactly what threatens you. You hand them a precise inventory of your vulnerabilities packaged in your own words. When your mood is visibly controlled by external events, praise lifts you, criticism destroys you, you become completely predictable. Predictable people are controllable people. A skilled social predator doesn't need to know your thoughts. They just need to observe your patterns for a week. The money lever is perhaps the most ruthlessly exploited. Consumer culture is built on one psychological mechanism: manufacture a feeling of inadequacy, then sell you the solution. Every impulsive purchase you make is evidence that someone else successfully installed their agenda into your decision-making. You didn't choose to spend that money. You were triggered into it. And the mind, the most intimate territory, is where the damage compounds. Cognitive infiltration is what psychologists call it when external narratives replace your own. When you internalize other people's opinions as fact. When you catastrophize based on someone else's offhand comment. When you spend hours mentally rehearsing conversations that already ended. Seneca watched this mechanism operate at the highest levels of Roman power. He wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The Romans weaponized rumor. Rivals planted thoughts. Reputation was a battlefield. And the men who fell were almost always men who had never learned to govern the territory between their ears. 2,000 years later, the mechanism is identical. The platforms are different. The psychological exploitation is the same. The unmastered self is always someone else's asset. Here is the exact architecture of reclamation. The mouth, install the pause. Before speaking in any emotionally charged moment, breathe once, deliberately. In that breath, run a single filter. Does this serve my intention or my impulse? The Stoics called this the discipline of assent, the practice of refusing to act on an impression before examining it. 7 days of this practice will fundamentally alter how people experience you. Not because you say less, because everything you say begins to carry weight. The mood, separate the fact from the story. Every emotional reaction is built in 2 layers. Layer 1, the factual event. Layer 2, the meaning your mind assigns to it. The event is neutral. The story is a choice, even when it doesn't feel like one. When you feel destabilized, stop and isolate the fact. Someone didn't reply to your message. That is the fact. Everything else, the rejection narrative, the spiral, the imagined meanings, that is the story. Interrogate the story before you inhabit it. Marcus Aurelius did this every single morning before the empire touched him. The money tracked the emotion, not just the transaction. For the next 30 days before any non-essential purchase, write down one word, the emotion driving it. Boredom, anxiety, inadequacy, status. After 30 days, you will have a precise psychological profile of your spending patterns. You will see in your own handwriting the exact emotional states that are being monetized by external forces. That awareness alone will eliminate a significant percentage of the spending. What you can name, you can govern. The mind, become the gatekeeper. The Stoics practiced prosoke, active, vigilant attention to which thoughts are granted residency in your consciousness. Not every thought that arrives deserves to stay. Treat your mind the way you treat your home. You would not allow a stranger to walk in and rearrange your furniture. Apply the same sovereignty to your inner world. When a thought arrives, particularly a catastrophic one, ask, is this thought a tenant I've chosen or an intruder I've accepted by default? If it's an intruder, remove it. Replace it deliberately with a thought that moves you toward the person you're building. These are not abstract philosophies. They are daily reps. Practiced in sequence, they compound. Here is what you came for. The reason mastering these 4 gates matters isn't discipline for its own sake. It isn't about becoming harder or colder or more controlled in a clinical sense. It is this. Every time you speak from impulse, you become slightly less yourself. Every time your mood is hijacked by circumstance, you drift a little further from your center. Every time money moves because of emotion rather than intention, something else is writing your story. Every time an uninvited thought colonizes your attention, you are being authored by forces that have no interest in who you actually are. The 4 pillars, mouth, mood, money, mind, are not separate disciplines. They are 4 expressions of a single question. Who is actually in charge of your life? Epictetus answered that question from a position of total external powerlessness. He had nothing. He controlled nothing that the world could see. And he was, by every account, completely free. Because he had sealed the gates. Because the interior citadel, once built, cannot be breached from the outside. It can only be surrendered from within. You have been surrendering, not because you are weak, because no one told you where the gates were. Now you know. The only question that remains is the one Epictetus asked himself every single day, in chains, in the most brutal circumstances imaginable. Who will you choose to be, starting right now with what you actually have? That question doesn't wait for better circumstances. It never did.